The First World War broke out in Europe in August 1914, after the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. The Italian government chose at the offset to remain neutral rather than side with their former allies, the Germans and the Austro-Hungarians. They did this for a number of reasons. They claimed that it was an offensive war rather than a defensive war. Therefore, the treaty did not apply. Also, they were not consulted in the opening stages of the conflict. Beyond the official reasons, Italy also had plans to dominate the Adriatic. Those plans involved taking territories that currently belonged to their ally Austria-Hungary. The Italian government went into talks with the British because they had more to fear from a British blockade and more to gain from a British victory. After playing both sides for a while, the Italian government finally entered the war on the side of the English and the French. The Treaty of London was signed in secret on April 25th, 1915. The agreement promised Italy territories that it wanted to dominate the Adriatic, such as Dalmatia, Istria, Trentino, and South Tyrol. By May 20th, Italy is officially at war with Germany and Austria-Hungary. Upon entering into the First World War, the Italian military was completely unprepared. They lacked the basic equipment, training, and strategy. The Austro-Hungarian army, on the other hand, had been fighting for the past year and knew what to expect from a war with Italy. The Italian military high command had fallen behind the learning curve of the First World War. Though the Italian military had plenty of information from the Western Front, they failed to draw the right conclusions about the role of new technology in warfare. For example, General Cadorna, the commander in charge of the entire Italian military, claimed that the Western Front confirmed his faith in a frontal attack. The inflexibility of the Italian military took its toll on the average soldier, who often knew the realities on the ground better than their commanding officers. The incompetence of the Italian high command was one of the main factors that plagued soldiers in the memoir A Soldier on the Southern Front by Emilio Lusu. In his book, Lusu describes his experience in the Italian military from May 1916 to July 1917. This time period comes directly after the largely unsuccessful initial assault made by the Italians, and it was largely unsuccessful. During that time, there were 5 battles on the Isonzo River, all of which involved the Italians attacking entrenched Austrian positions and failing each time to take a few square miles of land. Lusu's narrative begins the spring of 1916, when his battalion is ordered to defend against the Austrian counterattack. Their first assignment is to capture Mount Führer, a theoretically very important strategic position overlooking a pass through the Alps. The strategic value of the mountain lies in the ability to mount artillery and shoot down on soldiers going through the pass. However, as one lieutenant is quick to point out, they don't have any artillery. Once they do take the hill, they would have no way to stop the Austrians from marching through the pass and into Italy. However, even though there's a hole in the Italian defenses, Lusu is not concerned. Just because we happen to be imbeciles doesn't mean that the commanders on the other side are any smarter than us. The art of war is the same for everybody. You'll see. The Italians will attack Mount Führer with 40 battalions, and it'll be useless. And we're even. That's the military art. The generals in Lusu's book never pay attention to the realities on the ground and constantly fight over the theoretical best tactical position. Mount Führer constantly changes hands throughout the book. First, the Italians are ordered to retreat off the mountain and give it up to the Austrians. And then the Austrians are commanded off the mountain because they're needed in some other strategic position. This constant tug-of-war over the same piece of useless land shows both the futility of the war and the incompetence of the generals who run it. This idea is further drawn out by the character of General Leone, who is completely mad. General Leone never sleeps, and he is constantly ordering sneak attacks in broad daylight which amount to suicide missions. One of his schemes to break through the enemy defenses involves using battle armor to get across to the enemy trench. The soldiers in Lusu's battalion hate the general and believe that killing him would be a victory for the Italians. At one point, when the general is about to fall off a cliff and die, one soldier saves him, and then his comrades proceed to beat him mercilessly, claiming that he is a traitor and a spy for the Austrians. Lusu uses stories like these to illustrate how inept the generals were in the Italian army. As a mid-level commander in the field, Lusu interacted with both the generals and the common soldiers in the trenches. Through his account, we can see the disconnect between these two groups as soldiers began to question their leadership. The distrust of the military establishment caused it to lose power after the war. The people turned on the civilian leaders as well. When the Treaty of London came to light, it made clear that the Italian entry into this destructive war was nothing more than a naked power grab. The First World War brought about extreme distrust for the monarchy and the existing government, and led to support for extremism in Italy that eventually led to the rise of fascism.
In un tempo in cui Roma Aveva Cesare, Virgilio ed Augusto.